Your uncle tells you one thing on the day of your father's funeral. You are 7 years old. He crouches down to your level. He puts both hands on your shoulders. He looks you in the eyes, the way adults only look at children when they mean every word. In this family, he says, we don't talk. You don't understand what he means yet. You will spend the next 40 years learning. Level 1, the neighborhood kid. You grow up knowing things you're not supposed to know. You know which men on your block don't go to work in the morning, but still drive new cars. You know which cafe has a back room that isn't on any floor plan. You know that certain names make adults lower their voices. You know that your family is treated differently at the butcher, at the school, at the church, and you know not to ask why. Nobody explains the rules. By the time you're 10, you already know them. Your first job is simple. You stand outside the bar on Via Tribunale and you watch. If you see a police patrol, you send one text, a single word, pioggia, rain. If you see men who look too clean for the neighborhood, pressed shirts, careful eyes, the kind of men who write things down, you send another. Ombra, shadow. You make 200s a week, cash in an envelope, no contract, no explanation. The older men barely look at you. To them, you are free labor, a pair of eyes attached to a phone. But you are learning something they don't know they're teaching you. You are learning how power moves without ever raising its voice. One afternoon, a convoy of cars turns the corner. Blue lights off. Quiet. Too quiet. You hesitate. Your phone in your hand, a video still playing, and by the time you send the warning, they are already across the street. A man steps out of the bar, mid-40s, polished shoes. He doesn't raise his voice. Next time, he says quietly, we don't fire you, we forget you. In this neighborhood, being forgotten means disappearing. You understand. You never hesitate again. Level 2, the associate you are 18. A man approaches you outside a gas station and gives you an address. The next morning, there is a refrigerated truck. Official paperwork says mozzarella di bufala. Inside, crates of cheese. Under the pallets, sealed in vacuum plastic, bricks of cocaine that came through the port of Gioia Tauro, controlled for decades by the 'Ndrangheta, the most powerful criminal organization in Europe. Your route, Naples to Milan, 9 hours. Toll booths, cameras, random checks by the Guardia di Finanza. If they find it, you're looking at 20 years under Italy's anti-mafia statutes. If you make it, you earn $5,000. Every siren makes your pulse spike. Every car that stays behind you for more than 2 exits feels like surveillance. At a rest stop near Florence, 2 officers are questioning a truck driver across the lot. Your hands are wet on the steering wheel. They wave you through without stopping. You reach the warehouse outside Milan. Men unload in silence. One hands you an envelope. Neither of you counts it. You do it again the next week. And the week after. You make more in a month than your mother makes in a year cleaning hotel rooms. You fix her roof. You don't tell her how. A driver you know gets stopped near Bologna. Anonymous tip. They find 40 kilos in a false floor. He's sentenced under Article 416 bis, Mafia Associatio. The clan doesn't send lawyers. They send a replacement. You understand something new. You are not important. You are useful. These are not the same thing. Level 3. The soldier you are 22. You have a clean record and a reputation for reliability. They give you a list of names and a Beretta compact in a paper bag. This is the Pizzo. Protection money. Except the protection is from the same people collecting it. You walk into a restaurant or a bakery or a construction office. You sit down. You have an espresso. You leave an envelope and a number to call. Most pay without discussion. They've seen what happens otherwise. One bakery owner says business is slow. Tourists aren't coming. You nod, you leave. That night you return. You don't shoot. You don't need to. You overturn display cases. Flour fills the air like smoke. You break his hand against the pavement outside his own shop. Next month he pays double. You are making 2,000s a week. You buy an Audi. Designer shoes. A chain. But you are visible now. Every shopkeeper knows your face. Rival clans know your route. Investigators track patterns. Cameras record everything. You start looking over your shoulder in places you used to feel invisible. Respect feels good until it feels like a target. Level 4. The cell leader you are 27. You run 10 men, mostly boys you grew up with. Impulsive, loyal, careless. You answer to a captain inside the clan. Every month you receive product. Cocaine from South America routed through the port. Hashish from Morocco. Synthetic drugs from labs hidden in rural properties in Calabria. You distribute. You collect. You send 80% up the chain and keep the rest. Euro 40,000 a month on good cycles. A lookout gets stabbed one night by men from a rival crew trying to push into your district. You don't ask permission. Your men enter the bar where the rival boys drink. It is fast, loud, and brutal. Two rivals go to the hospital. One civilian is caught in the crossfire. It makes the local news. Politicians promise crackdowns. Nothing changes. You move into an apartment with a view of the bay. You tell your girlfriend you manage logistics for a shipping company. She believes you because the alternative, knowing the truth and staying, is worse than not knowing at all. Managing men is harder than fighting rivals. One gets high on his own supply and crashes a scooter into a parked police car. Another posts photos on Instagram with cash spread across a hotel bed. You discipline them. Sometimes with words, sometimes with fists, sometimes by cutting them out of profits entirely. You are running a business. The business runs on fear. Level 5. The captain you control districts now. Parts of Naples. Operations extending toward Rome. 5 cell leaders report to you. Meetings rotate between safe houses. You arrive in different cars each time. You leave your phone in another building before you enter. You speak in codes so practiced, they feel like your first language. Weddings for shipments, deliveries for payments, funerals for problems that need to disappear. You bribe a municipal official and gain access to construction permits. Legitimate projects become fronts for laundering. Millions pass through restaurants, car washes, import-export firms that do real business alongside the invisible business underneath. You are making a $150,000 a month. You own apartments through shell companies. A property in Rome. A villa near the coast registered to a cousin who doesn't exist. But law enforcement is not what it was. Italy built the 41 Bis, a prison regime specifically designed for mafia leadership. Total isolation. Letters censored. Visits monitored behind glass. No contact with the outside world. No giving orders through lawyers. No running your operation from a cell. You know men who are inside under 41 Bis. You visited one once, through glass, and watched what complete isolation does to a man who spent 30 years commanding hundreds. You sleep less. You trust fewer people. The men beneath you want your position. The government wants you in a cell. Rival clans want you in the ground. All three are patient. Level 6. The boss. The official boss is in prison, under 41 Bis. You run things outside. Hundreds of men answer to you through layers you rarely touch directly. You rarely appear in public. You don't use phones. You meet in parks, on foot, in walk-and-talk conversations that leave nothing on any recording device. You coordinate with other organizations, the Ndrangheta for port access, the Sacra Corona Unida for Balkan networks. It is less street crime now. It is corporate, international shipments. Money moving through legitimate businesses that have no idea what flows beneath them. You personally clear close to $500,000 a month, but money feels abstract. You cannot attend your son's school ceremony. Too exposed. You cannot visit your father's grave without a security sweep first. You live behind gates and cameras in a house that looks like any other house on the street, guarded by men who look like gardeners. The government has a prosecutor dedicated solely to your name. She has been building a case for 6 years. Wiretaps, financial records, testimony from men who swore the same oath you swore, and then decided survival was more important than silence. The Omerta, the code of silence that holds everything together, is crumbling. Men who called you brother are sitting in courtrooms, pointing at photographs. You already know which ones. You knew before the prosecutors did. You did nothing because doing something would confirm what they suspect. You are trapped by your own intelligence. Level 7. The arrest they come at dawn. Dozens of officers. Helicopters. The kind of operation that has been planned for months, that required sign-off from prosecutors and judges and officials in Rome who have spent years preparing this morning. You are calm when they come through the door. You expected this. Not today specifically, but you have known for years that this was the only exit. There is no retirement in this life. No handshake and a pension. You leave through a prison door, or a hospital bed, or a car window on a Tuesday morning in a neighborhood that will act like it never knew you. You are processed, transferred, placed under 41 Bis, concrete walls, 23 hours a day in a cell. Mail read by investigators before it reaches you. Phone calls monitored. Visits behind glass, one hand pressed against the surface that your wife presses her hand against from the other side. The empire you built is divided within weeks. Men you trusted for 30 years are already negotiating with prosecutors. Your name, the name that made people pause before speaking, that made men stand when you entered a room, that meant something in every port and construction site and government office in southern Italy, is now a file number in a federal database. Your son visits. He sits across the glass. He doesn't ask questions. He learned a long time ago that questions don't lead anywhere good. He presses his hand against the glass. You press yours against the other side. Outside Naples tonight, on a block where the streetlights flicker and the old men play cards in the back of a shuttered bar, a 15-year-old boy is standing on a plastic crate with a cheap phone in his hand. His job is to watch. He sees the men come and go. He sees the envelopes. He sees the cars. He sees how people move out of the way without being asked. He sees what power looks like from the outside, which is the only view that makes it look worth wanting. He doesn't see the glass partition. He doesn't see the 40 years of silence that arrives at that glass, presses a hand against it, and realizes the silence was the cage all along. Not the walls, not the sentence, not the prosecutors. The silence you were taught at 7 years old at your father's funeral. In this family, we don't talk. He doesn't know yet what that costs. He will spend the next 40 years learning. The cycle continues.